So welcome to everyone to our Bhagavad-gītā class. Nice that all of you are here. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Let us offer the most humble obeisance at the lotus feet of Srila Krishna Dvaipayan and Vyasadeva, at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada. Let us also offer the most humble obeisance at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and his eternal associates, beginning with Arjuna. Let us also offer humble respects to the scripture, Sri Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. May they all bless us so we can also take to heart his wonderful instructions, transcendental wisdom that Krishna imparted to Arjuna, and receive them in the same surrendered mood as Arjuna. So we are reading from chapter 13, text 16. Nature, the enjoyer and consciousness. Bahir,
Bahir,
antaśh,
antaśh,
cha, bhūtānām, bahir, antaśh, cha, bhūtānām,
bhūtānām,
acharam, charam, evacha, acharam, charam, evacha, sūkṣhmatvāt, tad, avijñeyaṁ, sūkṣhmatvāt, tad, avijñeyaṁ, dūra-stham, chāntike, tat, dūra-stham, chāntike, tat, bahir, antaśh, bhūtānām, acharam, charam, evacha, sūkṣhmatvāt, tad, avijñeyaṁ, dūra-stham, chāntike, tat, bahir, antaśh, bhūtānām, acharam, charam, evacha, sūkṣhmatvāt, tad, avijñeyaṁ, dūra-stham, chāntike, tat, bahir, antaś, bhūtānām, acharam, charam, evacha, sūkṣhmatvāt, tad, avijñeyaṁ, dūra-stham, chāntike, tat,
bahir, outside, antaḥ, inside, cha, also, bhūtānām, of all living entities, acharam, not moving, charam, moving, eva, also, cha, and, sūkṣhmatvāt, on account of being subtle, tat, that, avijñeyaṁ, unknowable, dūra-stham, far away, cha, antike, near also, cha, and, tat, that. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The supreme truth exists both internally and externally, in the moving and non-moving. He is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know, although far, far away, he is also near to all. In Vedic literature, we understand that Narayana, the Supreme Person, is residing both outside and inside of every living entity. He is present both in the spiritual and material world. Although he is far, far away, still he is near to us. These are the statements of Vedic literature. Asino, duram, vrajati, sayano, yati, sarvatah. And because he is always engaged in transcendental bliss, we cannot understand how he is enjoying his full opulence. We cannot see or understand with these material senses. Therefore, in the Vedic language, it is said that to understand him, our material mind and senses cannot act. But one who has purified his mind and senses by practicing Krishna consciousness in devotional service can see him constantly. It is confirmed in the Brahma-samhita that the devotee who has developed love for the Supreme God can see him always, without cessation. And it is confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā 11:54 that he can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya tavanayaya sakaya sakaya.
bahir antaśh bhūtānām acharam charam evacha sūkṣhmatvāt tad avijñeyaṁ dūra-stham chāntike cha tat. The supreme truth exists both internally and externally, in the moving and non-moving. He is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. So this particular statement from Krishna is echoed throughout many different scriptures, in the Upanishad, as well as other Puranas. The Supreme Lord is all-pervasive. So therefore, all-pervasive means internally and externally. Internal to every individual and external to both the material and spiritual world. So this implies that there is nothing beyond the Supreme Lord. If we can grasp this and willingly or even unwillingly accept this with full conviction, yes, my Lord, since the scriptures have repeated this so often, although it is beyond my capacity to perceive this, as you yourself are proclaiming, that he is beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. So when our senses, by engaging in devotional service in any form, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, in whatever form we engage in devotional service, then gradually through the purifying process, our consciousness and heart becomes purified of all contaminations, and only then we become capable, eligible to actually perceive the Lord, both internally and externally. So, these statements that Krishna is making, and in relationship to the subject matter of what is nature, the enjoyment, and consciousness. Actually, this is a perfect way of coming to know Krishna better without a proper understanding of who Krishna is. It's very difficult, certainly not impossible. It's very difficult to reciprocate and establish a relationship and intimate exchange with him, which is the desire of Krishna. Our desire is only for material things. So therefore we never think of developing an intimate relationship to the Lord, which is it is a part of our intrinsic nature. But the Lord, He's more concerned. This is the divine comedy, one can say. Those who require it most to know what is the relationship to the Supreme Lord, and that Supreme Lord does not even require this. That's knowledge, because he already possesses it. We see that those who require it most are negligent of it. They're not concerned. Whereas one who doesn't even need it, requires it, because he's Atmaram, Krishna is Atmaram. He's fully satisfied in himself. There's nothing that he needs to fill up a lacuna in him, to fill up some short giving in him. There's nothing lacking in him. So this is the strange turn of events. So therefore, Krishna has to constantly remind us that beyond me there is nothing. Internally, I am there, Paramatma, constantly guiding you, constantly, incessantly. And externally, nothing can move, nothing can happen externally without my energy. So therefore, beyond me there exists nothing. and everything exists because of me. I'm the cause, and I'm the ultimate goal. So these few, one can say, fundamental truths, we can build our entire paradigm and gradually become more firm and confirmed and convinced in our surrender to Him. One does not require to be very philosophical or highly erudite. Academic qualification, strength, richness, and all these other mundane qualities do not at all qualify us to be to make us eligible to surrender to the Supreme Lord. We can surrender to the Supreme Lord only when an intense desire is there, and we also receive the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Then surrender is possible. So, for those who are more inclined intellectually to serve the Lord, in the beginning and intellectually, and others who are inclined by their heart to serve the Lord. They may not understand much. Just we know from example of the scriptures, the gopis and the residents of Braja, they were all from the cowherd community, Vaishyas. Now the Vaishyas, they're not very academically oriented, and not like the Brahmins. The Brahmins, they study the scriptures, discuss about the scriptures, and then perform rituals. So they are engaged in such intellectual activities. But a cowherd, that is a Vaishya, such persons are very much closely connected with Mother Earth, with Mother Nature. But they don't have, neither do they have the interest, nor do they have the mind, the setup of the mind to go into such deep philosophical inquiries. In either ways, one who can know the Lord is not either through erudition nor through being connected with nature, but by bhakti alone. And Krishna makes that clear in the Gita. Bhaktya mam avijñeyam. I am to be known only through bhakti. Yavanchasmi tatvatah. Only then do I reveal my true nature. Yavanchas tatvatah. Tatvatah means the entire absolute truth will be revealed to that person who is approaching me with firm bhakti in his heart. Ultimately, in the spiritual world, one does not require any kind of philosophy. Philosophy is not required. Philosophy is required in the material world basically to counteract the attraction from matter. Also to counteract the influence of material nature. For these purposes, philosophy is certainly helpful. But it is not the means by which one attains the lotus feet of the Lord. To attain the lotus feet of the Lord, the only requirement is surrender in submission. Surrender in submission to the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada makes this very clear that because he is beyond the power of material senses, we cannot see him or know him, yet we are not even realize the fact that he is so near to us. That we have not realized. And therefore we are searching desperately here and there, here and there. But that he is very near to us. As soon as a little act of bhakti is performed, immediately he reveals himself in some way or the other. Immediately there's response. True to his statement, Krishna, that I will reciprocate to that degree that one approaches me. In the same way, if one wants to forget me, then I will give that person forgetfulness. He can completely forget me. And if a person approaches me with 99% doubt and 1% faith, I shall reciprocate with that 1% faith. And gradually, that 1% faith will go on increasing if he remains steadfast in his resolve to surrender more and more. The more the Lord reciprocates, the more I become cognizant, aware of my relationship to the Supreme Lord. Forgotten relationship. It is not that the Lord is establishing a relationship for the first time. No. The relationship was already there. But we have forgotten to such an extent and for such a long time that it comes forward as if for the first time that we are having this wonderful, beautiful, lovely relationship and exchange with the Supreme Lord. We think this is the first time. So therefore, the process by which one can understand that the Lord is always within me, very near to me, very near. But he is also very far away, very far away. What is the meaning of being very far away? Near one can understand, we say, okay, that's right, he is Paramatma, he is nearest to me. But although he's far, far away, not in the sense of his presence, but in the form of my ignorance. My ignorance, my forgetfulness pushes the Lord to such a distance away from me that it seems that God even doesn't exist. Some unfortunate souls conclude like that. There is no God. He's so far away that he doesn't even exist. Just like we hear from from astronomers that some stars are so far away that every once in a while we catch a glimpse because they send these light. And therefore, so far they can't even see them. So we don't even know about their existence. Similarly, we don't even know about the existence of the Lord because we have pushed him away so far that it seems that he doesn't even exist. But as soon as perform an act of bhakti, immediately he is ignited in the form of realization in our heart. Oh, of course he's there. So these are the kind of experiences which when one has, can never deny the truth about them. Cannot deny the truth. The supreme truth, Krishna is referring to himself here as the supreme truth. He is the embodiment of supreme truth. But he's making a general statement and not a personal statement. So therefore the supreme truth exists both internally and externally. If he were to say that I exist internally and externally, we would require proof. How do you exist internally? Where are you? And how do you exist externally? Where are you? But Krishna is saying the supreme truth, which is an impersonal manifestation as well as a completely personal manifestation. But as supreme truth, he is an impersonal manifestation. So therefore, no proof is demanded. Nobody can demand the proofs that you're saying that you're the supreme truth and you exist internally and externally. Where is the proof? Because you're not talking about a particular form in which you exist. You are existing in the form of a principle, truth. So therefore, no proof is required here because we cannot perceive this impersonal energy which is the source of everything. From which everything emanates. So the supreme truth exists both internally and externally. So in this way, Krishna is presenting himself. Krishna is also showing us our own selves. How much of our own selves is possible to realize? Then also he is pointing out. So questions?
Hare Krishna.
Haribol?
By chanting the holy name of Lord, chanting the Mahamantra, does one perform all the components of Navada Bhakti?
Yes. If one chants properly, yes.
But how he's doing archan, I mean, worshipping the deities, how is that?
Well, you have to understand what is the conclusion of archan, worshipping. Whether you worship through the means of particular sets of rituals and rites and mudras and such, or you do it in your mind, the same, not the functions, not the acts, but the attitude, then you're doing all, why only 9, all the 64? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives 64. Here we are talking about not about the actual gross actions. The gross actions are meant for some, but the same action like Vandanam to a highly elevated personality, the Vandanam is it's already included in his prayer when he's calling out the Supreme Lord's name. That's Vandanam. When he's calling out the Supreme Lord's name, it's also Archana. It's the attitude and not the action.
In Gajendra, the king of elephant, when he was in trouble, he called Narayan. But I read that when Narayan first killed a crocodile, and then the elephant Gajendra asked Narayan that why that he prayed for his protection, but he killed the crocodile. Thereby, the crocodile got the moksha or salvation first. Why is that? Then the Narayan told this elephant that actually because he touched the feet of his devotee, that's why he gave him this liberation first. Is it like that?
There is one explanation, but not the only one. The other explanation is that you had longer darshan of me, so as to remember our previous relationship. And the crocodile got moksha because he was not so in his previous birth as Haya, not so much inclined towards me. Whereas you were much more inclined towards me, so as to see this pastime to the end. So you had greater fortune. And if I had killed you first, and thereby given you moksha, you would not have been able to see how I killed the crocodile. There's other explanation also. It was the Lord's desire to have longer for the others who are to hear about this pastime of the Lord, for the devotees who read from this Bhagavatam, they would be extremely gladdened by the fact that the Lord released Gajendra from so much pain. So much of pain he was experiencing. So out of the Lord's causeless mercy, he immediately relieves his devotee from pain. So it's a great relief for all the devotees. Oh, the Lord is so kind that he immediately releases Gajendra from this painful situation where his feet was bitten by the crocodile and was losing so much of blood. And also that Gajendra could see that his tormentor, now Gajendra did not know why the hoo-hoo, the crocodile, was inimical to him. He did not know. He had done him nothing wrong. He had just come there to take a bath with all his. Suddenly, for no reason, he comes and so if the Lord was to first kill Gajendra, he would not have experienced this. That the Lord was always the protector of his devotees. So the act of protection was when he first killed the crocodile. I'm sure there are some more angles of vision, but these are conclusions by the different acharyas.
In the verse, Api Cheta Sudaracharo, Srila Prabhupada writes that if there is an accidental fall down, then that should not be the case to malign a devotee. But is it one time, or suppose someone keeps making these mistakes, is he also to be considered a devotee?
Well, here the question is, if one does it purposely, or whether due to some weakness, he may repeat his mistakes 1, 2, 3 times. But as long as he does not do it intentionally, then there's no real counting of how many is considered to be accidental. But certainly not repeatedly. Accidental means accidental. A few times it can be. But the main criteria is not how many times. The criteria is whether it was done intentionally or not.
But if it is done unintentionally several times, what is the situation then?
He begs for forgiveness and the Lord forgives him, and then he goes on and makes the mistake again the Lord forgives him.
If it is unintentional.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. One question I have of the Panchatattva, who are to be offered tulsi leaves?
Only the Supreme Lords. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya Prabhu.
And
But Advaita Acharya Prabhu, if we are to please him, I mean, it will not be wrong to offer it to him. But if we are to please Advaita Acharya, then he would prefer not to have tulsi leaves at his feet, lotus feet. That is his personal preference, because of taking the form of a devotee also. Form of a devotee. Mahadev.
It means that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Acharya, Vishnu Tattva,
Yes.
they can be offered tulsi leaves.
Yes.
And one more question I have is that it is mentioned that one can have mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, only by gaining the mercy of Advaita Acharya. Can you explain that?
Well, these are all interconnected. You see, as I said, from the three Supreme Personalities, Advaita Acharya is the one who called out for the Lord to descend. So he was credited to have the Lord incarnate by his calling. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu admitted to the fact in one of his Leelas, the Satprahari Leela it is called, that I have come because of the calling of, in the middle of the night, Advaita Acharya, he used to call him Nara. And Nara has called me down. I have come because of him. So the devotees are extremely grateful for Advaita Acharya Prabhu to be so resolute in attracting the attention of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the condition of Jiva in Kali Yuga. So he was brought down from his abode.
Just one academic question. Can one get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu without the mercy of Advaita Acharya?
Why would it interest you?
Pardon?
Why would it interest you?
Just I want to know the importance of Advaita Acharya.
It's been already said that by his mercy we can get Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what is there to be add more to that?
No, because it is. I have read that no one can get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu without the mercy of Advaita Acharya. One cannot get it.
And that's what I'm saying. So what is there more to know about it? Why pose a hypothetical question which is against the tenure of the scriptures?
With the help of Guru, can one get the
Only.
mercy?
Only. In fact, there one can say, without the help of the Guru, it is not possible.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So when Krishna so desires and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada blesses us, we shall get to hear Harikatha very soon again. I thank all of you for your patient hearing and beg forgiveness for all the mistakes I have committed. Let us once again offer our most humble obeisances to the lotus feet of Srila Vyasadeva, the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, and the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and all his eternal associates beginning with Arjuna. Let us also offer our most humble respects to the scripture, Sri Bhagavad-gītā As It Is. Hare Krishna and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,